Imagine this is you, and you're hungry, and maybe you want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. If you were thinking to yourself how to make this peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you would say, take some peanut butter and bread and jelly and make a sandwich. But what if you asked an alien to make you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? You'd have to be a lot more specific, down to saying things like, take the bread out of the bag and put it on a plate. Open the jar of peanut butter by unscrewing the lid. All the details that seem obvious to us and maybe even not worth saying become really important to say so that it's very clear how we get from one step to the next. We have to approach our mathematical proofs in the same way. Let's consider these triangles. It looks like they might be the same because, well, this 12 and this 12 seem to be similar. This 56 degrees and this 56 degrees, so there's the pointy end next to the 12, okay. We could calculate the measure of angle G and see if it's the same as the measure of angle A, but this is a disorganized way of approaching looking at these triangles. So we can use a proof to be very specific and strategic about exactly what we have and then what we can say based on what we have. All right, so this flowchart graphic organizer is provided for us, and it gives us some hints about how to logically sequence our steps to prove that these are congruent triangles. The first thing I notice is that I start with my given information, or the things that are already stated as true. If I look carefully, I notice that in this oval, I'm talking about the measure of angle C, and then I have an empty oval here, so something else is related to C, angle C. And then when I look at my next level, I see that I am saying that angle C and angle P are congruent. Therefore, this empty given bubble must be something about the measure of angle P. When I go find the measure of angle P from my diagram, I notice that it's 56.5 degrees. Now, over here in my proof, I have the right information to say that the measure of angle C and the measure of angle P are equal, and so I can say angle C and angle P are congruent by the definition of congruence. Notice I put my reason with the bubble. Thinking along these same lines, I notice that my next given bubbles are here, that CA is 12, and I know that because it's given in my diagram. And thinking about our previous pair, I'm going to say that this bubble should be about something that has a length of 12. So when I look at my other triangle, I see here that PG also has a length of 12. So I'm going to add that to my given bubble here. Since those two sides have the same length, I can say that line CA is congruent to line PG. Once again, that's our definition of congruence. And even though it might seem like we already said it over here, we have to say it again because we are saying that something else is congruent. Last but not least, I can see that I've been given the measure of angle G, and the reason here is the triangle angle sum theorem. Notice in our diagram, we aren't actually told what the measure of angle G is, but because every triangle has 180 degrees total, we can subtract 56.5 degrees and 22.3 degrees from 180, and we'll end up with 101.2 degrees. That's handy because looking at our other triangle, the measure of angle A is also 101.2 degrees. So I'm going to put that in this bubble because I then will be able to say that the angle A is congruent to angle G. And once again, even though we've used it a lot already, we still have to say that's because of the definition of congruence. Now we finally have all our pieces defined so that we can say that these triangles are congruent. So we have all three of these pieces coming together, and we can say that triangle CAT is congruent to triangle PGI because of angle-side angle congruence. We have an angle, a side, and an angle. So even though at the very beginning when we looked at these triangles, we could sort of tell that they were probably looking the same, we couldn't say that mathematically until we used all of these pieces and brought them together with one of our triangle congruence theorems. So when you're doing flowchart proofs, or proofs of any kind, you have to be really careful about making sure that you've established that the things you need to use are in fact true before you use them to prove your case.